My dad texted me at 2 in the morning, from a number I had not seen light up my screen in a year. "We need to talk." That would sound normal in most families. In mine, the last time Mark Kane had spoken to me was on my graduation day, when he handed me a cardboard box with a one-way bus ticket stuffed inside and said, "Good luck out there." My younger sister laughed like it was a punchline. I hugged my mom, swallowed everything I wanted to say, and walked away without a word. They had no idea I was the youngest co-founder of a $40 million tech company. A week after my face hit national TV, my family showed up at my company's front desk. But the real shock was not that they came back. It was what they decided to bring with them. My name is Riley Kane, and for most of my life I became very good at making myself small inside my own house. Not because I liked disappearing, but because disappearing was usually the safest way to survive. If you grew up with a dad like mine, you would get it. Mark loved control the way some people love coffee, every day, without question, like oxygen. He called computers a hobby, not a real future. He said cybersecurity was paranoia dressed up as work, and told me I should do something practical, like my sister Jenna, who somehow managed to be perfect simply by breathing. She is 2 years younger than me, all easy charm and sunshine, exactly the kind of daughter he bragged about over a grill at neighborhood cookouts. For a long time, I did not even blame her for how naturally she fit into a world that spit me out at every turn. My mom, Caroline, always tried to sit in the middle. She is quiet, soft-spoken, the kind of woman who apologizes for standing in a doorway. She loved me in this secret, sideways way, but she had lived under my dad's rules for so long that asking her to really stand up for me felt like asking a cloud to hold a straight line. From the sidewalk, our house in Seattle looked perfect. Fresh paint. Trimmed hedges. Wide windows that caught the morning light. Inside, it was always a little cold. Conversations walked on eggshells around. My father's moods. Achievements were measured against Jenna's path. My own ambitions were treated like a phase I would grow out of once I got tired. So I worked. Late nights, long hours, every part-time job and lab shift I could get. Anything that let me keep moving forward without needing their approval. That is how I met Noah Blake, my closest friend and the first person who treated my brain like it was worth listening to. He is my age, sharp in a way that makes some people defensive. He was the first one who looked at my code, leaned back in his chair and said, "Riley, you know you are building something real, right?" He saw me long before anyone else even tried. Still, I never told my family about the startup Noah and I were building in Denver. Not the long nights, not the early prototypes, not the first terrified meetings with investors, not the moment someone put a $40 million valuation on what lived on our servers. They did not know because I never volunteered it, and because they never asked. That summer, when graduation got close, I kept hoping, against every bit of evidence, that maybe this time would be different. Maybe they would show up early. Maybe they would look at me and see someone worth being proud of. Maybe for once I would not feel like a guest in my own family. But people like my dad do not rewrite their personality in one spring. Graduation morning looked like a postcard. Sunlight spilled over the campus quad. Purple gowns fluttered in the breeze. Families carried flowers so big you could hide behind them. I remember clutching my cap so hard my fingers hurt. The air around me was thick with pride and joy and relief. I kept scanning the crowd, telling myself they were just running late. That maybe this time, they would surprise me. They did show up. 15 minutes after the ceremony should have started. Dad walked in first, shoulders tight like he had better things to do. Mom trailed behind him, giving me that small apologetic smile she used when she knew something was wrong but would not say it out loud. Jenna clicked across the pavement in heels like she was stepping onto a red carpet. She slid her sunglasses off and looked me over with a grin that felt more like a smirk. There were no flowers. No card. Not even a simple, "We are proud of you." Dad gave me a quick scan and said, "Stand straighter for the photos." No hello, no hug. Just instructions. And stupidly, I still wanted the picture. I wanted that one frozen frame that could prove that somewhere under all the criticism there was a version of us that worked. After the ceremony, I watched other families crush their kids into hugs, cry into bouquets, scream and laugh. I watched one dad pick his daughter up off the ground and spin her. A mom pressed a folded letter into her son's hands, telling him she had saved it for this day. Pride was loud everywhere I looked. Then my dad called out, "Riley, over here." I walked toward him, hope wobbling on thin legs. He handed me a box, small and light, wrapped in plain brown paper. "Open it," he said. I peeled the paper back, lifted the lid, and felt my stomach drop. Inside was a one-way bus ticket, Seattle to Denver. Departure, that night. "What is this?" I asked. My voice came out thin. Dad crossed his arms. "It is time you stand on your own 2 feet. You are 27. Our house is not a hotel." Jenna laughed, bright and delighted. "A one-way ticket. That is savage." I swallowed hard. I did not argue. Not because he was right, but because I had learned years ago that arguing with him only made him louder and meaner, and made me feel even smaller. Mom reached for my arm, her fingers light. "Honey, maybe this will be good for you," she said. Her voice shook like she wanted to add more but did not dare. I hugged her. Really hugged her. For a second, she held me like she knew this was not just about moving. This was a break in the foundation. Dad cleared his throat and she stepped back. I nodded once. Okay. It was the last time I would ever give them that kind of obedience. I walked away through a sea of laughing families, carrying my gown, my diploma, and that ticket. Jenna's laughter followed me, thin and sticky in the air. Dad did not call after me. Mom did not chase me. They watched me walk off like I was luggage finally shipped to the right destination. The thing is, they thought they were pushing me out of their world. They did not know I had already built another one without them, and that the bus ticket they meant as exile was about to drop me right at the front door of the life they never believed I could have. The bus rolled out of Seattle just as the sky turned that soft pale gold that makes everything look gentler than it really is. I sat by the window with my gown folded over my lap, the ticket box buried at the bottom of my backpack like a reminder of what I refused to go back to. For the first hour, I stared at the blur of trees and highway signs. My chest felt tight, but not from panic. It was something else. Not grief, not fear. Release. Slow and quiet. Somewhere between Olympia and the Oregon border, my phone buzzed. "Noah. Where are you?" His message said. "Please tell me you did not stay with them after everything." I hesitated, then typed back, "On a bus to Denver. Long story. I will explain tonight." 3 dots flashed on the screen. A bus? "Riley, what happened?" I stared at the message, my throat burning. I almost told him about the box, the laugh, the way a "good luck" felt like being shoved off a ledge. But the words would not move past my teeth. "I am okay," I finally wrote. "Just give me a few hours." When the cabin lights dimmed and everyone else drifted off, a strange truth settled into my bones. I was not heading into the unknown. I was heading home. Denver had been my secret life for 3 years. Long nights building our security system. Prototypes that impressed institutions I had only ever read about. Meetings with investors who took us seriously. A growing team of 40 people who trusted my judgment more than my own family ever did. The next 12 hours blurred into highway lights, gas stations, strangers asleep against fogged windows. But when the bus finally rolled into Denver, the exhaustion cracked open into something else. Anticipation. Noah was waiting in the parking lot, hands shoved in his hoodie pockets, curls a mess. When he saw me with just one backpack, his jaw tightened. "This is really all you brought?" he asked. I tried to joke. "It is enough." His eyes darkened with a quiet anger that was entirely on my side. He did not push. "Come on," he said softly. "Let's go home." Driving through downtown felt unreal. Neon reflections slid across the windshield. The city buzzed with energy. But nothing hit me harder than the first clear view of the tower we worked in, the building I had helped design. Dark glass climbing into the sky, lit floors dotted like constellations. Our tower. We stepped into the elevator and Noah shot me a sideways look. "There is one thing we have to do before you crash," he said. "What now?" The doors slid open on the 15th floor. Lights exploded. Confetti popped. People shouted. "She is here." 40 people rushed toward me with a paper crown, sunflowers, a cake decorated like a circuit board. Warmth hit so fast it hurt. For the first time in my life, a celebration did not feel like something I was intruding on. It felt like it was mine. The celebration lasted hours. Long after the music quieted and the cake had been passed around twice, people still came up to hug me, congratulate me, tell me they were proud, that they were glad I was there. I kept nodding, smiling, trying to keep my voice steady even though something inside me felt like it was cracking open in the best possible way. Noah finally guided me toward the balcony when things calmed down. "You good?" he asked. I stared out at Denver's skyline, the blue-black glass towers, the soft glow of streetlights, the hum of a city that never once told me I was too much or too little. I whispered, "I'm more than good." But when I got home that night, exhaustion hit me like a wave, and I collapsed onto the couch. My phone lit up again. "Dad. Where are you staying? We need to talk." The same man who pushed me out with a bus ticket now wanted answers. I let the notification slide away. Later, when my eyes were too heavy to stay open, I fell asleep right there on the couch, the Denver skyline flickering through the glass like a heartbeat. 2 days later, the calm broke. Pressure settled over the office like a storm front. Sentinel, the system Noah and I built, was days away from being shown to the world. It was powerful, one of a kind, and already attracting attention that made even seasoned analysts nervous. Government agencies were circling. Journalists were demanding interviews. Investors wanted meetings. I was juggling slide decks, testing simulations, reviewing last-minute security patches when Noah walked into my office with a frown. "Your phone is blowing up," he said. I glanced at my screen. He was right. Messages stacked one after another. My dad. My sister. Numbers I did not recognize. Seattle area codes. I ignored all of them. But when my mom's name appeared, glowing softly on the screen, something inside me shook. Ignoring my dad was easy. Ignoring Jenna was easy. Ignoring my mom felt like ripping out a stitch that never healed right. I answered. The second she spoke, I heard crying. Not sharp, guilt-soaked crying. Real crying. Soft. Breaking. "Riley, are you safe?" My throat tightened. "I'm fine, Mom." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath since the moment I left. "Your father won't admit it, but he's worried sick." I made a small sound. Not agreement, not disagreement. Just acknowledgement. "I didn't get to hug you properly," she whispered. "You left so fast. You watched me be pushed." The words hovered in my chest, but I didn't say them. "I don't know if we handled things the right way," she murmured. "You didn't." But again, I stayed silent. "Do you need a place? Are you staying with someone? Do you need money?" "I've been saving a little," that hit me harder than anything. My mom never had much. She was offering what little she had not because she believed I needed it, but because caring for me quietly was the only rebellion she ever managed. "I'm working, Mom," I said gently. "Working on what?" I looked around my office. The tower. The whiteboards covered in algorithm architecture. The national rollout plan pinned to the board. The glass reflecting a woman they never took the time to know. Something important. Silence stretched. I could hear her wanting to ask everything, wanting to understand the world I built without them, wanting to rewind and redo all the moments she didn't show up. But my mom had spent so long learning to survive my father that she let questions die before they made noise. "I'm glad you're safe," she finally said. "I am. Call me. Soon." "I will." I hung up and pressed the phone to my forehead. Loving her hurt. Leaving her hurt. Staying would have destroyed me. Then came the reveal. Denver Convention Hall felt electric. The air buzzed. Screens glowed with promo videos. Hundreds of people filled the seats. Industry experts. Government reps, journalists with cameras ready like vultures circling. Noah stepped on stage first. His voice was smooth and steady as he outlined the stakes, the flaws in current systems, the potential we were about to unleash. "And now," he said, letting the lights dim, the architect behind Sentinel. The massive LED screen behind him went black, then burst white. Riley Kane, co-founder and lead architect. The spotlight hit me. For one split second, everything, every bruise, every silence, every slammed door, fell away. Then the applause erupted. I walked onto the stage, heart steady, voice strong. "My name is Riley Kane," I began. "And here's what we've built." I talked about responsibility, infrastructure, the future, all the pieces of Sentinel that mattered not because they were impressive, but because they would keep people safe. When I finished, the applause didn't just hit. It rolled. The moment I stepped backstage, my phone vibrated non-stop. I almost ignored it out of habit, but curiosity tugged at me. I wanted to see what Seattle looked like when truth finally landed. Dad's first message, "Come home immediately. We need to talk." Then Mom, "Riley. I didn't know. I didn't know you were doing anything this big. I'm proud of you. I swear I am." Then Jenna, the girl who laughed when Dad gave me a one-way ticket, "My Riley. I'm sorry. I didn't know how amazing you were. I was jealous. I'm so sorry." Before I could even process the flood of reactions, Noah appeared in the doorway. "Riley, you need to come downstairs." "Why?" He hesitated. "Your family is here." Everything inside me froze. They pushed past security. I felt the world tilt beneath me. The elevator ride down felt like sinking through water. When the doors finally opened, the sight in the lobby hit me like a punch to the ribs. My dad stood in the center, arms crossed like he owned the floor beneath him. Jenna, mascara smudged, hovered behind him. My mom stood slightly back, clutching her purse with both hands, her eyes red from crying. Employees whispered. Security watched. The polished marble floor made every emotion sharper. My dad's voice cut the air. "Riley. We need to talk as a family." I didn't move. "I don't think we do," I said. His jaw clenched. "We raised you. You owe us the courtesy of a conversation." There it was. Ownership disguised as love. I stepped forward, voice calm. "I don't owe you anything except the truth. And the truth is simple. I'm done being controlled." Jenna burst into tears. "I'm sorry, Riley. I was jealous. Dad always expected me to shine when you dimmed. I went along with it. I know I hurt you." Her words hit harder than I expected. Not because they healed anything, but because they finally named the rot we all grew under. "I don't expect forgiveness," she whispered. "I just needed to say it." "I forgive you," I said quietly. "But forgiveness doesn't mean I'm coming back." My dad's face flushed red. "This is ridiculous. You are part of this family whether you like it or not." But then, my mom stepped forward. Her voice was barely a whisper, but stronger than anything I'd ever heard from her. "Mark, let her go. We haven't been a safe place for her in a long time." My dad stared at her like she'd just torn the floor out from under him. Then he turned, stiff and furious, and walked out. Jenna followed him. My mom touched my hand, soft, brief, then left with them. The glass doors closed behind them with a sound that felt like the end of a chapter. Noah stepped beside me. "You okay?" I looked at my reflection in the glass. Older. Steadier. Finally free. "Yes," I said. For the first time, yes. The lobby emptied slowly, leaving the air still and strangely gentle, like the building itself understood something heavy had just shifted. I stood there for another minute, letting the quiet settle into my skin. For the first time in my life, silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like space. Noah didn't hover or push. He just stayed nearby, leaning against the wall with his arms folded, watching me with that steady, grounding presence he'd always had. After a while, he said softly, "Whenever you're ready, let's head upstairs. There's a lot waiting for you." I nodded. "Yeah. Okay." The elevator doors closed, sealing the world below us away. My reflection stared back in. The metal surface, and for the first time, I didn't look like the girl who left Seattle with a bus ticket and a broken heart. I looked like someone who had built something that no one could take from her. Over the next few weeks, life reshaped itself. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Like dawn inching across a skyline. I moved into a penthouse overlooking downtown Denver, sunlight pouring across the hardwood every morning like a soft promise. I filled the space slowly, calmly, choosing things I loved instead of things that looked acceptable to someone else. Plants. Books. A marble coffee table. A couch big enough to fall asleep on after late-night coding sessions. And I started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I was finally safe enough to unlearn the parts of me that had cracked under other people's expectations. My therapist, Dr. Reed, listened without flinching, without rushing to fill the silence. She asked the kinds of questions that made the ground shift under my feet in the best way possible. Riley, when did you learn that love meant earning your place? The answer took weeks to unpack. Years to understand. At the office, everything accelerated. Sentinel landed government contracts within weeks. Media outlets wanted interviews. Investors praised our leadership. New hires joined faster than HR could onboard them. But in the middle of all the noise, Noah made sure I never drowned in it. He checked in. He pulled me out of meetings when I looked overwhelmed. He reminded me to eat. He reminded me to breathe. He reminded me, without ever saying it out loud, that partnership meant more than business. It meant being seen. One crisp morning, the sky outside my balcony was painted in soft rose and gold when a letter arrived. Not an email. Not a text. A real letter, addressed in the handwriting I knew by heart. My mom's. I opened it slowly, the paper trembling in my fingers. Inside was one line. I'm proud of the woman you chose to become. That was it. No explanations. No excuses. No attempts to drag me back into the old patterns. Just a single sentence. Quiet. True. Entirely hers. For the first time, a message from my family didn't hurt. It healed. I folded the letter carefully and placed it inside a small wooden box on my balcony, the one where I kept the few pieces of my past that didn't bruise me. My grandmother's ring. The first sketch of Sentinel's architecture. And now, my mother's words. My past didn't vanish. It just loosened its grip. I found myself laughing more. Sleeping better. Making dinner without checking my phone. Saying no without guilt. And slowly, the version of me that spent years shrinking began to stretch, breathe, and stand upright in a world that finally made room for her. A few months later, I walked through the office late at night, the city glowing beneath me. Most people had gone home, but the lights from my workspace still burned bright, casting long reflections across the floor. I stood there alone, the hum of the servers settling like a heartbeat. My old life felt distant. Not erased, just observed from a place of safety. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't waiting for another apology or explanation. I had simply outgrown the cage they tried to keep me in. And then, one night, standing on my balcony with the cool Denver air brushing through my hair, I finally understood something I'd never been able to name before. Walking away wasn't betrayal. It was survival. It was reclamation. It was the moment a girl who was handed a one-way bus ticket chose to build her own destination instead. If any part of my story feels familiar, if you've ever carried the weight of being unseen, unheard, or underestimated, then you already know, sometimes the people who should have loved you gently don't know how. And sometimes the loudest revenge is simply building a life where their absence doesn't echo anymore.